Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine on a quiet night? A feeling that you're not entirely alone. We often associate hauntings with old houses, cemeteries, or battlefields. But what if the spirits weren't tied to a place, but to an object that moves, that travels through the darkness, carrying its ghostly passengers along for the ride? Tonight, we're not just telling a ghost story. We're hopping aboard one. This is the tale of the Phantom Express, a haunted train that still barrels down forgotten tracks, long after its final journey. Our story begins in the late 19th century, a golden age of railway expansion. A magnificent new steam locomotive, named the Silver Sovereign, was the pride of the National Railway. It was a masterpiece of engineering, designed for luxury and speed, connecting bustling cities across vast, untamed landscapes. Its maiden voyage was a grand affair, filled with wealthy industrialists, high society figures, and families embarking on a new life. The train was a symbol of progress, a beacon of a bright future. But that future was never meant to arrive. On a cold, moonless night in the autumn of 1888, the Silver Sovereign was making its way through the treacherous Blackwood Pass, a remote stretch of track carved into the side of a steep mountain. A sudden, violent storm had rolled in, unleashing torrential rain that turned the earth to mud. Without warning, a massive landslide cascaded down the mountainside. Rocks and debris slammed into the tracks just as the Sovereign rounded a blind curve. The engineer, a veteran named Silas Croft, yanked the emergency brake. The screech of metal on metal echoing through the valley. But it was too late. The colossal engine derailed, pulling its luxurious carriages one by one over the edge of a deep ravine. The crash was catastrophic. The carriages, once symbols of opulence, were twisted into unrecognizable heaps of metal and wood. Of the 158 souls on board, there were no survivors. The remoteness of the location meant that recovery efforts took days. By the time help arrived, the scene was one of grim silence. The Silver Sovereign, the pride of the nation, had become a tomb. The railway company, facing public outcry and immense financial loss, decided to abandon the wreckage. The tracks through Blackwood Pass were rerouted, and the tragic site was left to the mercy of nature, a permanent, rusting memorial to a terrible disaster. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, this is where it truly begins. Just a year after the tragedy, reports started to surface. Local farmers and railway workers stationed near the old, defunct line began to speak of a strange phenomenon. On nights shrouded in thick fog, especially around the anniversary of the crash, they would hear it. The distant, unmistakable chug of a steam engine and the mournful wail of a train whistle echoing from the abandoned pass where no train should be. Those brave or foolish enough to investigate would report seeing a ghostly light cutting through the fog, the headlamp of a locomotive. Then, the train itself would appear a spectral silhouette against the night sky. They described it as the Silver Sovereign, but not as it was in its glory. It was a phantom, translucent and wreathed in an ethereal mist. Inside the carriages, ghostly figures could be seen sitting in their seats, their faces pale and expressions vacant, forever trapped in their final journey. The phantom train would thunder past, its ghostly wheels not even touching the rusted, overgrown tracks, before vanishing into the darkness as suddenly as it appeared. Over the decades, the legend grew. Locals named it the ghost train of Blackwood Pass. People from all over would travel to the area, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spectral locomotive. Many who camped near the old tracks reported more than just sightings. They spoke of a sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature, the air growing heavy and cold. They heard faint whispers on the wind, the sound of polite conversation, the clinking of glasses, and even the soft, sorrowful laughter of a child, all seeming to come from nowhere. Electronic equipment is said to malfunction in its presence. Cameras fail, batteries drain instantly, and audio recorders capture strange electronic voice phenomena, or These recordings, when played back, reveal chilling phrases. Voices have been captured saying, "Help us, it's so cold," and the frantic cry of the brakes. It's as if the final, terrifying moments of the passengers are playing out on a loop, an echo of tragedy imprinted on the very fabric of the location. One of the most compelling accounts comes from a group of paranormal investigators in the early 2000s. They set up a base camp near the ravine, equipped with night vision cameras, thermal imaging, and digital recorders. For 2 nights, there was nothing but the sound of crickets and the wind. But on the 3rd night, the anniversary of the crash, everything changed. Just after midnight, their instruments went haywire. The temperature plummeted by over 20 degrees in a matter of seconds. Then, they heard the whistle. It was distant at first, then grew louder, closer. Through their night vision goggles, they saw it materialize from the mists down the valley. The spectral form of the Silver Sovereign, its headlamp, cutting a ghostly beam, was heading straight for them. They described an overwhelming sense of sadness and panic washing over them, an emotional residue left behind by the tragedy. They could see the apparitions in the windows, some looking out with hollow eyes, others seemingly unaware, locked in their final moments. The train passed right through their campsite, a silent, chilling procession, before fading away into the woods on the other side. The experience left the seasoned investigators shaken, convinced they had witnessed something not of this world. So what is the ghost train of Blackwood Pass? Is it a stone tape phenomenon? A recording of a traumatic event replaying itself over and over? Or is it something more? Are the spirits of the passengers and crew still aboard, unaware that their journey ended over a century ago? Perhaps Silas Croft, the engineer, is still at the controls, forever trying to stop the train, forever reliving his failure to save his passengers. The stories persist, passed down through generations. The old tracks through Blackwood Pass are now almost entirely reclaimed by nature, but the legend ensures they will never be truly forgotten. It serves as a haunting reminder that some journeys never reach their destination. So if you ever find yourself in the remote wilderness on a dark, foggy night and you hear the distant sound of a steam whistle, you might not be alone. You might just be trackside for the Phantom Express, a train of lost souls, forever bound to its final, tragic ride. Thanks for joining us on this unsettling journey. If you have your own local ghost stories or legends, share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. Stay curious and stay safe.